I honestly feel like this book is going to change my life. Hello and welcome back to my channel, and this is our chatty book club. We are on our second book now. This is part one of our second book, which is In the Flow by Alissa Vitti. This is how you're going to unlock your hormonal advantage and revolutionize your life. This has been recommended to me by so many people, and when I put up the poll on Instagram and TikTok, this was the one that was voted in. I'm 50 pages in, okay? It's worth it. It is a lot better than I expected it to be, and literally only 50 pages in. Like this is how much I've read. And for only 50 pages, I have a lot of notes already. So this is going to be like, these videos are going to be longer than the last ones. And I'm not an expert in this subject. I would consider myself a bit of a productivity expert. So deep work, the ideas were kind of fleshing out ideas that I was already aware of. But for this one, I am a complete student as well. When she's opening up the book, she is talking about all of the reasons why this is so important to know about, why it's so damaging not to know about it. And let's just dive into the kind of lessons we're talking about here. What is the greatest lesson a woman should learn? That since day one, she's already had everything she needs within herself. It's the world that convinced her she did not. This is actually a quote from Rupi Kaur. Kaur? I don't know. When I read this quote, I was like, hell yeah. And then I read the rest of the first 50 pages and I was like, oh, no, like seriously. This is not just like some women empowerment quote to make you feel like all fun and inspirational and cute. Like this is it. The author goes through telling her own story about having anxiety, insomnia, breakouts, weight gain, all of this stuff, like feeling drained and overwhelmed, and it's all due to spreading herself too thin. I think a lot of us can relate to this. Oh my god, my coffee, what am I doing? Sitting over here, my coffee's over there. Oh, that's better. Oh. And she says something very interesting. She says your cycle is not a liability, it's an asset. Again, I can definitely relate to being told, being taught, and even just experiencing firsthand that my cycle is a liability. It's like causing so much pain. It doesn't actually have to be like this, apparently. She says we're trying to fit square pegs into round holes by living out of sync with our female biochemistry in terms of how we eat, how we work, how we function, all of that. All of it, more than I can even say in just one sentence, is affected by that. I hope she doesn't diss my coffee habit. And then we're told about what it weakens when you're out of sync with your cycle. And it weakens your thyroid, your ovaries, liver, adrenals, immunity, digestion, cognitive function, and your libido. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff. And if you have issues with all of those, or even a couple of those, that's going to affect your day-to-day life in a big way. Her methods are basically claiming to fix everything possible. Like fix your whole life. Like, including your productivity, by the way. So let's see what there is to this. Because if you've ever had even just one major mood swing or one major hormonal side effect, you know how powerful they are. They're not just things that you can ignore. And she introduces this idea of we actually have a 28-day cycle, not a 24-hour cycle. Yet the world and society goes off the 24-hour cycle, which is the duration of the male hormonal cycle. So isn't that just interesting? On page 6, she does this whole thing like this book is for you if, and honestly it's powerful. Right, let me just read it out here, okay? This is the right book for you if any of these statements ring true. You feel like you're always trying to do it all, but there's never enough time. You strive to give 100% in every area of your life, but it's hard to keep up with your own expectations. You want to become more creative, more enterprising, more consistent, but you feel like you start and then you don't follow through. You have tried every kind of planner to be more organized. Listen, it's a fetish. You've tried every diet and fitness program and don't get the results you want. You're interested in biohacking but not sure where to start. You feel continually drained and overwhelmed by all of the commitments in your life. You want to be having more fun and pleasure in your life, but you struggle to stay up with your to-do list and often feel like you haven't earned enjoyment. I know that's ringing true for some of you. You have PMS, PCOS, fibroids, endometriosis, ovarian cysts, infertility, or any other period problems. I'm going to tell my story in a little bit because it's a show. You've already seen functional medicine doctors and your regular OBGYN and tried everything. You're not enjoying your relationship or sex life as much as you'd like to be. You feel disconnected from your body or feminine energy. Oh my God, I am so disconnected from my feminine energy. Definitely something I want to work towards or work on more. Even just saying I want to work on it just shows how out of touch I am with my feminine energy. Shift my focus towards gently in 2023. You think being a woman means you're destined to suffer and you want to live your best life but need a sustainable way to do it. I nearly cried when I read all of these because I know either some past version of me or the current version of me is looking at these and it's relatable. Too many of them are relatable. And I'm sure if they're relatable to me, they're relatable to you too. So one of the main lessons, overarching lessons that I learned in these first 50 pages is that how female biology is taught absolutely does not express how magical and wonderful we are. And it forces women to become self-oppressors. Hence why being super empowered doesn't come all that naturally to us. It's like we need to go out of our way to be taught into feeling empowered. Okay, very interesting section here. We go into period myths. So just general myths around having a period and what that looks like or what that should look like or whatever. Okay, so she has 5 of them. All of them are fascinating. So here's number 1. PMS is just a part of having a period. This is relating to mood swings, bloating, breakouts, and so on. This isn't true. She says we're put in a box of being hormonal and it devalues our opinions and judgments as women. That is so true. So, slash the myth, here's the actual truth. PMS symptoms only arise when there's an imbalance of estrogen and progesterone. PMS symptoms only arise when there's an imbalance of estrogen and progesterone during the luteal phase. This can be triggered by coffee, sugar, dairy, juice fasts, low-fat diets. The longer PMS goes unchecked and untreated, there is a greater risk of cancer, heart disease, diabetes, dementia postmenopausally. Guys, like what the My nana has dementia. She's quite far along now. She is in a nursing home. She went in this year. But the thing is, there is a history of very, very bad periods in my family. I thought it was just, what's the word? Hereditary. I thought it was hereditary. But as I'm looking at this, and I'm like, maybe there's not a history of bad periods in my family. There's a history of women not knowing how to deal with their periods or live in sync with their cycle. That would make a lot of sense, and I'm hoping that is the case because that would lift a lot. The author then goes on to say the premenstrual phase can actually be a time of insight, clarity, and direction, filled with a desire to get it done and clean house, literally and figuratively. I honestly feel like this book is going to change my life. Okay, on to period myth 2. Cramps are unavoidable. I definitely 100% thought this, that cramps are unavoidable. We're told that period cramps are just a reality to deal with. 100% we are told that. The truth though, this fucking blew my shit out of my brain. Okay, your body produces one type of prostaglandin called PGE2, which in excess can lead to cramps. But we also produce 2 other types of prostaglandin, PGE1 and PGE3, which are antispasmodic and counteract those contractions as natural painkillers. So, your body has twice the capacity to relieve pain than cause cramps. Oh my. So when you consume the right foods for your cycle, you provide the building blocks your body needs to promote production of good prostaglandins that ease pain. When I read this, I was like, okay, that's fucking amazing, first off. But second of all, I wonder if this applies to not only muscular cramps, but also just general pain. Like just other things. Like if I the other day I smacked my knee off the floor. Don't ask. But if I was in control of this and living in sync with my cycle and I had more of these good prostaglandins, would that mean my knee wouldn't be as sore? Or is it just like a muscular actual contraction thing? Also, this makes me think about my pain threshold because it's not great. A few months ago, I had one of those infamous pull-up bar incidents where I couldn't get to the gym for a few days and I was like, oh, I just feel like lifting something. So I had a pull-up bar, put it on the door. I can't do a full pull-up yet. So I was jumping up and slowly letting myself down, just getting the negative part of the rep, which is just as effective for me because I can't pull myself up anyway. So that's what I was doing. I did like 5 reps, and on the last rep, well, it wasn't going to be the last rep, but it was the last rep because of this. I jumped and the bar jumped with me. So I basically pushed it off the door. It came off the door as I was midair and we both fell. I fell from about 1.5 meters in the air. The washing up baskets were kind of underneath me and they're like thin metal around the side. So I landed on that on my arm, like just like the side of my back. And then because of the shock of that and the pain of that, I fainted and whacked my head off the floor. Jesus Christ, like. So that's all because I fainted because my pain threshold is terrible. And even when I whacked my knee off the floor the other day, I had to sit there for a moment. I was like, whew, I nearly went there. Like, it felt like I was gonna. Could that maybe be resolved a little by a prostaglandin thing? Hopefully, maybe. I don't know. Period myth 3. Being on the pill helps regulate your period. Okay, when I read this, I was like, hang on. What? Like, okay, come for me, why don't you? So let's continue. So most women think you still menstruate while on the pill, but that's not true. I actually knew this purely because my mom is a nurse, but the truth is it's a withdrawal bleed, not a period. This next part blew my fucking mind too. Okay, the placebo week, or the week off, whatever you want to call it, was actually created as a marketing ploy because manufacturers thought women would be disturbed by not bleeding and wouldn't use it. Excuse me? What the like, no. So it's just like to make you feel better about the fact that, I swear to God, to menstruate you need to ovulate, and this critical phase of your cycle is taken away when you're on the pill. Now that I didn't know. Without ovulation then, your hormonal cycle gets stuck in a static low hormone phase. Look, I may not be an expert on this, but that doesn't sound fantastic. And it also doesn't correct hormonal imbalances. It just suppresses your own hormonal function and allows you to go years or even decades without addressing the root causes of symptoms, which worsens your overall health. Again, this just upsets me because I'm like, I've been on the pill for 11 years. Fucking f***. Period myth 4. You don't need to have a period. Okay, personally, I've never heard this, but there are some random articles claiming that there's no reason to have a period, and some doctors then just give the go-ahead to patients to skip the placebo week and just take the pill constantly, like it's no big deal, and just skip bleeding. I have also been told this. I've been told this by my actual doctor, but I didn't go along with it because my gut just felt like there was something really off. The truth is that tampering with our beautifully crafted cycle comes with real side effects and dangers. And then she uses a really interesting analogy, right? She says, every ovulation and cycle puts protective benefits into your health bank account. So if you think about that, if you're on the pill for 11 years, you go what's 11 by 12? Someone do the maths. That amount of cycles without putting anything into your health bank account. Doesn't sound great. Okay. Lastly, if you're missing periods due to PCOS or irregular cycles, it's a sign your hormonal system is off kilter. And this could lead to acne, mood swings, weight gain and stuff. Period myth 5. If you have a bad period, there's not much you can do. The truth is actually, just as you wouldn't let a cold linger unnecessarily, this is how she words it, you don't have to put up with problem periods. Immediately, I was like, oh my God, tell me how. But she kind of says that the how comes later in the book. And I think there's going to be like multiple sections on the how. But it's just really important to know that. I am someone who has really, really struggled with my own cycle. My last real period was like traumatic. I woke up in the most excruciating pain I have ever been in, to the point where I couldn't even get out of bed. Luckily, my mum was not in work that day. I had to ring her from my bed, from my room. She was 2 rooms down the hall. I was in so much pain. I was like, oh my God, like couldn't even speak. And I was so weak with the pain. It was horrific. So she came in, she was taking care of me. I had ruined the bed sheets. I didn't expect it to be that bad. I had a pad on and everything, but anyway, the sheets were and she went off to clean the sheets. She changed the sheets. I'm just like sitting on my unmade bed, just like, oh my God, in so much pain. I remember she changed the sheets, and then I was in so much pain that I got sick. I don't know what she was thinking at that point, but I got sick a lot, and twice. So as an emetophobic person, the thought of not being on the pill anymore terrifies me, because that was my last real period and it got to that point. I also fainted twice while lying down in bed from the pain. And there were multiple other occasions where I was in so much pain from the cramps that I fainted multiple times. So yes, I definitely haven't had it easy regarding periods, and they just seem to be getting worse and worse and worse so I obviously had real periods only for like 3 years, but I will never forget how bad it was. Every single morning, those first 1 or 2 days, I was in so much pain. I literally was just bent over in so much pain until that first Nurofen kicked in. Like, I could not function. This is what I mean. Like, and I'm sure some of you are listening to this and you've had maybe similar experiences, or you've had difficulties with your cycle in other ways, and it's just shit that so many of us have to deal with this. Hopefully, maybe this right here could be the end of the struggling. Fingers crossed, ladies. Fingers crossed. Next section, she says, you are a biological powerhouse. And I was like, okay, come for me. I'm here for it. She says, women are inherently abundant by design. This makes me so happy. This is going in my affirmations. She goes on to express some not thoughts, but like actual facts about our fluids. So many of them are just seen as like disgusting. And the actual truth is that they're amazing. And here's why, right? So 3 examples. We have, first off, menstrual blood. So many people are see this as disgusting. This is the tea, okay? Stem cells in the period blood may have potential to be used in treatments for stroke, liver damage, etc. Class. Second, breast milk. This fact just blew my nose. This fact blew my nose. It blew my mind, okay? The nipples absorb a baby's saliva, which may program glands to pump out made-to-order germ fighters that the baby needs. So like, say they're starting to get a cold. The nipples are like, oh yeah, we got that little note from the saliva that they're starting to get a cold. Let's throw some more cold fighting stuff in here in the breast milk. What? That's insane. And I'm definitely not using the scientific terms, but that's not what we're here for, is it, ladies? Lastly, vaginal secretions. C-section babies miss out on the quote-unquote bacterial bath and therefore have much higher risk of immune disorders. Isn't that mad? So just those few moments going from the womb, being born, vaginal secretions give them a bacterial bath which helps their immune system. We are fucking biological powerhouses. A little note on the male 24-hour hormonal cycle. This fucking irritated me and also empowered the shit out of me, and you'll see why in a sec. This is how the male cycle goes, right? In the morning, their testosterone and cortisol levels are highest, so they're energetic, communicative, laser focused, ready for something, and very efficient at getting stuff done, okay? Afternoon, testosterone declines and they're in the mood to socialize and connect. He wants to pitch ideas to clients, network, and meet up for a date. Evening, testosterone levels wane. He's more sensitive to his estrogen and more interested in chilling and quiet time. Yeah, this is how we all live. And it's based on the men's hormonal cycle. Yet the women's 28-day cycle is completely different to that. We don't function like this, yet our society is kind of built around functioning like this. Oh, no wonder so many women don't feel like they're thriving. A few other things she says women's symptoms are disregarded as them being oversensitive because medicine doesn't know as much about their bodies and health problems, and because medicine doesn't know as much about their bodies and health problems, they just shrug it off as women being oversensitive. Yeah. So the author then shares her own story and all the symptoms that she struggled with and how she dealt with it. And just a side note, it wasn't through yoga and being present and all this stuff. It was through food binges. It was through things that ultimately weren't helping. But that's what her body just kind of forced her to do. So she actually positions the cycle as a gift of abundance and health and sex and career and motherhood. We get to have all of these things because of how amazing our cycle is. It's just that we haven't been taught how to use it properly. So some side effects of syncing with your cycle: building energy, not draining it, feeling really good about who you are, feeling powerful and confident, feeling less stressed and more productive. I'm always here for that. Effortlessly maintaining a healthy weight, being aligned with the process of creation. Again, I'm so here for that. And being a clear channel for your passion and purpose to come through. And she says, when you run out of energy today, you can stop and rest, knowing you have a whole variety of energy and creativity to play with your body's biological rhythms. I hear you, sis. I hear you. We actually move into the second chapter now, break free from the 24-hour clock. So she says, say hello to your second clock, the 28-day infradian rhythm. So the 24-hour clock is based on the circadian rhythm. The 28-day clock is infradian rhythm. I know we've heard this probably time and time again, but personally, I always forget these details, so it was really nice to have the reminder. So phase 1 is the follicular phase, and it's 7 to 10 days long. Phase 2, ovulation, 3 to 4 days long. Phase 3, luteal, 10 to 14 days long. And phase 4, menstrual, 3 to 7 days long. And interestingly, she says, a disturbance in your 24-hour clock can disrupt your 28-day cycle, leading to problems like irregular periods and longer menstrual cycles. I can't even with this. Look, okay, she shares some statistics that to an extent upset me, but to another extent I was like, well, isn't it amazing that we know this now? Because back in the day they definitely didn't have this information. So trying to fit into a 24-hour pattern takes a dramatic toll on our numbers. Here are just some stats. There's so much more in the book, by the way. I literally just took 3. So 9 to 14 out of 100 women have heavy periods. 10% of women experience period pain so bad they can't perform everyday routines. Women in their childbearing years are over 2 times as likely to develop an anxiety disorder. I don't know if it was anything to do with my menstrual cycle, but I also have struggled with anxiety in the past. And I know so many women who have also. That is actually everything up to page 50. Was that not a lot of information for literally just like the intro to the book? I already feel so enlightened, and like my perspective on a lot of things has changed. And I just feel like this is going to give us the permission to release that guilt whenever we kind of feel like, oh, I didn't get as much as I wanted to get done today, done, and you know, all of these little things, all that pressure we put on ourselves for probably no reason, because we're going to be able to work it more in sync with our cycles, because at certain times of the month we're going to be more suited to communicative work versus creative work versus whatever, you know, like it actually works like that, rather than just like force yourself to do all the things every single day, go. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited to see where this brings us. Before the next video, let's read to page 100. That'll be 2 weeks from today. Okay, so that is everything I've got for you today. I'll see you on my YouTube in 2 weeks. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you very soon.